I'm going to tell you about the biggest problem facing the Western world. The problem is uninformity. And right now I'm uninformed about Mike's. Anyways, uninformity is my own personal word for people not knowing what their government is actually doing, people not knowing what the limits on the powers of their government are, and people not really even knowing their own rights. Now, what is the impact of this? The impact is people are at serious risk of losing their freedom of choice. This freedom of choice encompassing every single choice you will make in your entire life, from how much soda you're going to get at your local fast food joint to how many kids you're going to have. My first example is incandescent light bulb versus fluorescent light bulb. Good versus evil. This guy here, incandescent, invented by Thomas Edison, over 100 years old, he's considered the bad guy because most of the energy he uses goes towards heat. I can speak personally to this because when I was a dumb runt years ago, I touched a lit bulb. I was informed on that subject ever since. Don't touch a lit bulb. And then you've got curly fly fluorescent. Yes, I call him curly fries. He's considered the good guy because he doesn't waste as much energy. Most of the energy he uses goes towards light, not heat. Now, from what I just told you, which would you rather have? Curly fry. But what I didn't tell you, and what the governments generally don't tell you is, what does he have in him? He's got mercury in him. Mercury is a toxic element that if you ingest it, you will become a legally insane nut. So, from all the information I've just told you, which would you rather have now? If you're like me, you'd rather have the thing that'll burn your hand and not that thing that'll turn you into a nutcase, though your sister might already think you are. Yes, I've been called several things by my sister. My second example is, as I'm sure many of y'all have heard, Congress has ordered the Department of Agriculture to institute a calorie limit on the public school systems here. Now, the way the government puts it, it's a pretty good idea. Kids in the United States are, unfortunately, horrendously overweight. This will make it harder for them to become overweight. It sounds like a great idea, but is it really? The first problem I think of is, well, the kids no longer have the ability to choose for themselves. Now, there are some people who would say that the kids really are not capable of choosing for themselves. I say, if you don't let the kids choose on something as simple as lunch when they are kids, how are they going to learn to make much more important decisions when they are adults? The second problem I have is, that ain't much food. Alec over there, a football player, he's a big dude. From what I heard him say yesterday, he can eat 5 of those, and probably about 5 of those and 10 of those. So he goes hungry, and that ain't what we want. The third problem I have is this. What do kids hate to eat the most? Vegetables. What's that? That is a bowl of vegetables. So where does it go? It goes into the trash can. So you've got wasted food, which is horrible, and wasted money, which is almost as horrible. And my third example is, as I'm sure many of y'all have heard, New York City has outlawed this guy, the big sugary drinks. Now, the way the city of New York puts it, it's a pretty good idea. Their citizens are becoming horrendously overweight. This will make it a whole lot harder for them to become overweight. Sounds like a pretty good idea. But is it really? The city of New York has basically told its citizens that they are too stupid to make their own decisions on something as simple as a soda. Do we really want the government telling us we're stupid? No. I get enough of that at home. I'm kidding on that one. That's the one thing I'm not called. Well, to quote William Pitt, the Prime Minister of Great Britain around 100 years ago, 1800, necessity is the plea for every infringement on human freedom. It is the argument of tyrants. It is the creed of slaves. This is unfortunately true. Now, what is the solution to the overall problem of uniformity? The solution is people need and must take responsibility to inform themselves. Now, of course, there is an objection or two to this. And the only 2 objections I can think of are, how does that matter to me? And why should I worry about that? Why should I even think about New York City? It's over 1,000 miles away from me. Stupid thing. Why should I worry about New York City? How does it affect me? It affects me because I've heard about it. And even though I loathe the idea of somebody telling me how much soda I can have, somebody down the street from me might just love the idea. And guess what? They're a whole lot closer to me than New York City. And they can start putting up signs and going and protesting at City Hall telling them, take away our sodas. Or they'd probably say, no, I wouldn't know what they'd say. I'm not one of them. But anyways, since I'm informed on this particular subject, I can tell them no. But somebody who is not fully informed may love the idea until suddenly, what? I can't choose anymore? This subject is this concept, is summed up very well by, let's see now if I can remember his name right, Reverend Martin Niemöller. And he said one of the most famous quotes in history. He said, quote, when the Nazis came for the communists, I remained silent. I wasn't a communist. When they locked up the Social Democrats, I remained silent. I was not a Social Democrat. When they came for the trade unionists, I remained silent. I was not a trade unionist. When they came for the Jews, I remained silent. I was not a Jew. When they came for me, there was no one left to speak for me. It's a slippery slope. If you let uniformity start somewhere as simple as a soda, it will eventually get to how many kids you're going to have. Who here has a smartphone? I know y'all watching this on the computer already have internet access, and so do y'all with a smartphone. You have no excuse not to be informed. All you have to do to research any topic on the face of the earth is click a few buttons, or in the smartphone case, the screen a few times, and you can learn anything at all. And I am very deeply encouraging you to do your own research. Don't just trust me. Do your own research. Don't trust Mom, don't trust Dad. Do your own research. And when you do your own research, please look at, let's say, Fox News. They tend to be more conservative. Then look at CNN. They tend to be more liberal. And then look at, let's say, 3 or 4 other sources that you know about, or other sources that you find while you're doing your own research. Then talk to your friend who might love this idea you're researching. Talk to your friend who might hate this idea you're researching. Then talk to your friend who really just does not know yet. Once you have found every single angle you can and studied it, make your own informed opinion. Michael Rivero, a current-day website host, says it pretty doggone well. Free people can say no. Free people can refuse demands for their money, time, and children. Slaves cannot. There is no freedom without the freedom to say no. If someone demands that you do something and you can say no, then you are a free human being. If you can be forced to do something or surrender something you do not wish to, then you are a slave, and no other test need be applied. So, you can either join me and be a free, informed human being who can tell their government, no, I have the right to choose. Or you can be an uninformed slave to your government. And if I leave you with absolutely nothing else, freedom of choice is your choice.